Go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is J. Anthony Franke with I don't even have a name for this, the J. Anthony Franke podcast, Fun Time Happy Hour. I'm here with Ron Solomon, Brett Dewey, and Tony Soltis, respectively the creator, co-creator, writers, supervising producer, co-producers, everything all in one of the show California Dreams, amongst others, Saved by the Bell, The New Class, Hang Time, USA High. I think, Tony, you even did an episode of, what was it, The Shield?
Yeah, NYPD
Um,
Blue too.
Yep, nice. And then, yeah, I mean, I could actually pull up I got a computer here. I can pull up more info on you guys, just so you know. If you piss me off, so anyway. We're going to get into it. The fans have sent in some questions. Basically, I sent feelers out and said, "Hey, do you guys want to hear from the writers?" And they said, "Yes, we do." And they immediately, yeah, I was shocked too. No, I'm kidding. But yes,
Me too.
yeah, they said, "Yes, we do." And I said, and some of the writers also wore other hats as well. So we've got some of the more hat-wearing writers here today. So here we go.
Do the hat.
And
I got the hat.
Ron has a hat, and I have a hat, though I wasn't a writer. Though I think
True.
in true, what is it, Joey, what's his face style from Friends, I wrote most of my own lines. No, I'm kidding. Anyway, all right.
God, that would have been so much easier.
I
I like
wouldn't
that question. Which character did you write?
I wouldn't have been
Yeah,
working
which
for,
character did you write?
I wouldn't have been working for long. So, all right. So here's what we're gonna do. I guess I'm gonna ask the questions as they've been given to us. You guys decide how you want to format the answers and whether you want to discuss them or whether you want to answer them one at a time. But here we go. There's 29 of them, by the way.
That's a lot.
I may skip one or two here if I see that, it's just kind of like redundant or what. Anyway, here we go. Number one, how did you come up with the idea for California Dreams, and what was the process in getting it to the network? And were you happy with how the pilot turned out?
That's three questions.
Right.
It is. Take
Like
that.
I
See,
said.
Brett was always the mathematician.
Right.
Somebody had to be mathy.
So I guess I could start.
Yeah.
So the pilot there's so many cool stories about the pilot. Well, maybe not cool, but there's stories about. So essentially, Brett and I wrote for Bell.
Yep.
And when we were getting close to wrapping up the first 100 episodes of the original Bell, Peter and NBC came to us and asked if we wanted to create a pilot as a sister piece to the Saved by the Bell, the New Class that they were going to do. But they had a script already, and they gave it to us because they didn't love it and asked us what we could do. Right, Brett? Isn't that right?
Yes. Yeah. They gave us an outline. We never saw the script, but we knew they didn't like the original script, but we got the same outline.
And we didn't like the outline either. So we said, fuck this. And we created our own thing. Kind of, they wanted the same themes, right? And so we created that. And then we wrote the pilot, and that was it. But I have to tell you a really funny, one of my favorite stories about Dreams was the pilot. So Brett and I spent, I don't know how much time coming up with the story. And the ending of that story, we went to the network and they rejected it. Finally, they accepted it, and they said, okay, everything is good except for the tourists at the end of the pilot. I don't know if you guys remember, at the end of the pilot, there was a group of Indian tourists, right? That they duped these tourists into thinking they were meeting the Eddie Van Halen band.
Right.
Well, the original script, they were Japanese tourists. Okay. And we go into the network meeting, and they're like, you guys this is great, but you can't do this. It's too racist. Okay. Like stereotypical Japanese tourists. And Brett and I were like, oh, this is horrible. This destroys the entire ending of the episode. And I think it was me. It could have been Brett, but we basically said, well, what if we made them Indian? And they looked at each other and they went, oh, that's okay.
Oh my.
So, apparently the Indians didn't have the same money put into commercials.
Right. And the same stereotype as tourists with cameras.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's brilliant.
And then what was that joke with the holy moly? Oh, no, my son. Oh, I mean, oh, he said, holy cow. I said, oh, no, my son. Oh, no, I mean, holy moly. That didn't make it.
Ugh. They knew they were in trouble with how outrageous the show was going to be starting there.
Great.
Dig it.
That is
Can I
great.
ask you guys a question? Because I don't remember this. Did you intentionally want it to be more of a family to make it different from Bell, or was that something, how did that happen? Because initially, before the show changed, obviously it was about the Garrison family. Where did that come from?
The family was part of that outline. It was to make the show different than Bell. It wasn't just kids in high school. It was somehow different. There was going to be a mom and dad and a little brother, and brother and sister as core of the band.
Right.
And obviously, over time, that kind of changed and became less important. Especially when Heidi decided. Especially when Heidi decided.
He froze again.
Right. And Peter.
On. Then suddenly
I remember,
the dynamic was going to change.
And I'm not sure. I think Peter just maybe the focus groups just didn't dig it. And I remember Peter came in and he goes, nobody wants a family. It's a kid. Nobody wants to see a family. Let's just get rid of the family. And we're like, okay, well, we didn't like the family anyway. So, all right. So that's when it became the kids and Sharkies and all that. We got it out of the home. It wasn't that tough.
And everybody's got a Peter impersonation. Everybody's got a Peter impersonation. All right, so
I had a dream about recently, and nightmare actually, and he was mad at me about it. I swear to God,
this is not vodka, by the way.
And he's like, "This is terrible. This is terrible." And I'm like, "People, I wrote this 30 years ago." He's like, "It's still terrible."
Yeah. That's funny.
I have Peter in my nightmares with the current work I do, coming in and critiquing my current work. You missed this problem. What's going on here? Anyway, all right. So, quick yes or no. Were you happy with how the pilot turned out? And if a no, then give us an explanation.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
Oh, yeah. There were a lot of unknowns going in. We didn't know how the music was going to be. Steve Tyrell started, it was from paper to execution was a
wow, he really
wonderful experience. To have that pilot was just great. We were very happy with the cast, with the music. It turned out better than we could have dreamed. Pardon the pun.
It was great. We really dug it, and it was very us. Good. It was different. We weren't constrained by certain individuals who were very old.
Regimented. Yeah, gotcha.
We're old now, but then we were young.
and good news, Brett. When you do cut out, Brett, your audio actually catches up. So
okay.
So we're good. All right. Next one. We're only on number 2. Okay. Let's see. Did you feel that California Dreams? Let me see if I can whittle these down a little bit. Okay. Did you feel that California Dreams didn't get as much attention from the network and executive producers and Saved by the Bell? And would it have been bigger if it came before Bell?
Oh, God.
I don't think it could have come first. Bell kind of broke Saturday morning wide open, created the dynamic, created the need for a teen sitcom. So we came in next, and then the network's attention may.
Bell was the hit
because they were also launching other shows.
Yeah. Oh, for those who haven't heard, Mr. Solomon is in his vehicle.
And a cop just tapped on my window, so I just waved, you know.
Are you at home or are you in Greece still?
No, I'm here in Colorado in my
Okay,
car in a parking lot.
sweet, as one does.
And you live there
As
now.
yes, I live here.
Okay.
In your car, in the parking lot.
In my car, yes. I haven't worked a day since Dreams Wrapped. I mean, sucks.
All right. Did you guys have any say in the casting of season 1? And if so, what made you decide on the final 5 and how did you come up with the characters?
Brett, do you have? We didn't
We-
really have any say in the casting in the beginning. I don't, not that I recall. Brett,
We were invited. We got to sit in the room and listen to other people have opinions. Robin Lippin found them. Robin Lippin found them all. Peter and Linda and the network made the decisions, and we got to win.
right? Yeah, it wasn't until I'm trying to fill in when Brett freezes,
Right,
but you know, it doesn't freeze long, so I won't try anymore.
All right. Yeah, his audio catches up. So, okay. Rumor has it that the California Dreams cast are supposed to do a mall tour season after 1, but there was a dispute between the network and I don't know if you guys know anything about this because this would have probably nothing to do with you. Do you guys know anything about a dispute between the network, between NBC and MCA on who is going to cover the costs?
Wow.
No,
Does this fall in your wheelhouse anywhere?
no.
Sweet. Moving on. That is the rumor I have heard. Other than that, I can't speak to that either. And these guys probably know more than I do about a lot of things, California Dreams. All right. So, okay. So after season 1 aired, I guess this kind of speaks to Jacob Samuel Sommers. What was the response and what brought about the casting changes in season 2? Adding Jake and focusing more on the teens than the Garrison family.
So first of all, I just have to reveal my son's name is Jacob Samuel Solomon. Therefore, Jay, you are Jewish.
I wear it proudly. I wear it proudly. And I do actually talk to your son quite often.
You do, actually.
do.
That's true.
Yes, he's a very nice young man, and he makes some pretty cool music. And he samples some of my voice and uses some of it, which is pretty funny. Yeah, I've even joined some of his listening parties. So
that's cool.
Yeah. All right. So besides the fact that I'm Jewish honorarily,
I remember that basically Brent, for as talented as he is and as likable as he is, wasn't pulling in the sex appeal that they wanted. And I kind of remember Jake needing to be that character, you know, that he needed to be the one that the girls were going to scream over more. And maybe possibly, you know, another season or whatever with Brent, it wouldn't have mattered, but that was kind of the impetus behind it, that they weren't really responding to him in that way. Although I think the energy between the two of you in season 2 was one of the best parts of the show. Ultimately, you know, you guys kind of had a yin and yang thing. His oh man, kind of simple Tennessee thing he did worked well with motorcycle, move over Garrison, you know, kind of thing.
Well, I mean, first, thank you about the sexiness. I can't help but agree. But no, I do agree that, like, I thought Brentley and I worked well together. He has admitted publicly recently that it was basically him fighting with Peter about him wanting to do Jake's stuff. Which kind of led to his leaving, and he said he regrets that now.
So interesting. That's like an actor thing, man. That's like actors want to do things that aren't who they are.
Right. There were things that you guys had me do sometimes that I didn't want to do, but then
Really? Really?
But then Barnhart pulled me aside. It was Barnhart or Patrick. I think it was Barnhart. I'm still unsure, but I think it was Barnhart who pulled me aside and he said, "Look, if you're afraid to make a fool out of yourself in this business, you're in the wrong fucking business, kid." And I was
Enter
like,
bagpipes.
yeah. Well, no, that actually the bagpipes I liked. That was fun. And I got to wear a kilt and I did go commando, by the way.
Nice.
You heard it here.
You heard it here. There is a picture of not commando, but anyway, a picture circulating of the kilt. Okay, so that was so adding Jake and then focusing more on the teens than the Garrison family. Was this ultimately your decision, as you guys remember, or was this more of a network producer thing?
No, it was a mandate. It was all right. Families out.
We were told.
Yeah, family's gone. Make it all kids. That's that. End of subject. Which was fine with us, you know. I mean, it was ultimately became a lot more fun. We weren't constrained by telling stories because when you have cast, right, you really have to service the cast.
Right.
And so if you have a mother and a father and a little kid, right, a little brother, then you have to have them in the stories. And you know, and you guys were the fun.
Right.
And so it really made the show pop better from my perspective.
Right. Though I did have the pleasure of working with them only for a little, not Dennis, but Gail and Michael RIP Michael. He passed away a couple years ago. Michael was a funny guy. When you guys wrote stuff for him, he pulled it out. He really did. I really appreciated watching him take what you guys gave him and make it funny, especially his bits with Sly.
Yeah.
So I did. Go ahead, Brett.
Oh, sorry. I think because when Heidi decided to not come back after season 1, she gave us 3 episodes, which was great to introduce you and to say goodbye to her character. And that was the way that was sort of the end of the family, even though Mike and Matt hung around for a little while, and Matt hung around longer. Yep. But in the end, you know, it was nice that she gave us those 3 episodes to transition, to bring you in and to kind of phase the family out.
Right. And for those who don't know, who are watching, I played the character Jacob Samuel Sommers on the show California Dreams. And these are the guys that wrote all that. Anyway.
I was also Johnny Himalaya, and you have Johnny Himalaya and 2 of the Wave Breakers right here in front of you live.
Young Sharky, not a wave breaker.
That is true. That is true. Yes.
Weird Al impersonator in the background.
I forgot.
As well as the music producer's assistant in the final episode to nod his head and take notes.
You were Brett Dewey, the music producer's assistant. Brett Dewey was the name of the music producer. And you were his assistant. That's correct.
That's right.
Right.
And I was Coach Flack.
Oh, yes, and I cannot believe I remember. I mean, the amount of alcohol and drugs I was doing back then to even remember that.
What?
Can you? Yeah.
No. Yeah. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah, no idea.
We worked with Anthony Anderson the next year. You were nothing.
Right.
Like that.
Well, I cleaned up my act pretty much like right after. Like I just was like, oh God, I'm gonna die. Anyway, that's another story for another time. So basically, on the last one, just a final thing on my end. I was sad to see Brent go. I did think that Matt Garrison and Jake had a good thing going. And yeah, it really did make me sad when he left. But yeah, anyway, moving on. Okay. Were you surprised when Heidi decided to leave the episode, 3 episodes into season 2? And what was everybody knows the process in bringing Jenny Kwan in, because unless there's something you guys had to do with it, but were you surprised to see Heidi leaving the show, or her decision to leave the show?
I can't say personally that I was surprised. I mean, her father is Chaim Saban, and you know, he's the Power Rangers guy. And so her opportunities were really the moon. Yeah. And she had such an exquisite voice. I don't think she really wanted to be an actress. She was fairly uncomfortable. I mean, you couldn't tell, right? But I don't think her goal, right? Her dream was to be an actress. So not a huge surprise to me. Disappointment, maybe.
Tony?
Yeah, I agree. She didn't have that Saturday morning energy. She was far too cool for it in a way,
Right.
which was a detriment in a sense, right? Because she didn't feel comfortable with it. And I mean, Jenny Kwan, such a good actress, and it's such a pleasure to write for her. She was so positive and willing to do whatever to work the show. And she was
And
really
so fucking funny.
Yeah, she was.
God, I just saw her 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
really.
Yeah, at Comic-Con in San Diego. No, in Colorado Springs.
Yeah. Yeah, no, she still is pretty funny. Yeah.
Oh God, she's a riot.
Yeah. Brett, did you have the same kind of feelings when Jenny left, or
Well,
surprised?
what I appreciated is, I mean, like I said before, she was leaving, but she gave us the beginning of season 2. So it was really nice that we could transition her. She didn't just disappear. We were able to write her out and say goodbye. Unlike Matt, that we just wrote out with a line. I think it was yours. I'm going to miss Garrison, but this place is great.
Yeah, this loft is great. Yeah, that was. I'm going to miss Garrison, but this loft as a replacement is awesome.
I'm so thrilled we did it that way. That's just okay. Why waste a whole episode on this? He's gone. Move on.
Got to be efficient, man. You got to be efficient.
Well, all right. So I'll just add to it, just to add to the Jenny conversation a little bit. Jenny has talked about the process of becoming Samantha Wu a million times, so everybody's heard it. But how were you guys involved in that, and what were your thoughts and ambitions for her when it became a thing and a reality?
Wow.
I think we were told, here's a new character.
Yeah, I think we were told create a new character, and then because of she was in Madame W, right? She was beautiful, she was funny, and Miss Saigon, right? And we created her, and it was so easy. Yeah. It was really easy, and there was no question about it. She was just hysterical and a great singer, and I don't think the network gave us any pushback on the character that we created. And of course, the actors always bring an element to creativity, right? To a story and a character. When you create the character in your mind and in a piece of paper, you don't know if it's going to work.
Right.
But then the actor comes in and takes that and personifies it and adds to it. And really, it either lives or dies based on how that character portrays that, right? How the actor portrays that character. And she was just brilliant at it from day one.
When she was first written, she was written as a girl that was kind of oblivious and wasn't aware of how much she talked. That she would come in and just go yada 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 yada, oh yada yada yada, and wasn't aware that she was doing that. But Jenny, as an actress, as a human being, was too smart to continue to be that way. And once again, you have this idea of who the character is going to be. Then the actor and the character sort of merge and become something a little bit different. I mean, she was still funny, but she wasn't as oblivious as she was initially written.
Right.
Brett, anything to add to that? Because
she was just absolute delight from what she brought to the character from the beginning. I was very happy. We were very happy.
Awesome. I've got a follow-up for that. This is, was there any pushback on the Jacob Sommers character, Jake Sommers? And if there was pushback, what kind of pushback was it?
Ron hated you. We were trying to get rid of you from day one.
He's nothing like my son.
Still do. Yeah. No, I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think we wrote you rough. I think you brought a rugged masculinity to it, right? That, as Tony said, and I don't want to disparage Brentley, because he was fantastic, but a very different vibe. And I think from day one, you nailed it. And I think Tony, you seem like you remember more than me. I don't think there was a hell of a lot of evolution. Really, I think the most important thing was to humanize the stereotype biker, right? To make you human and kind and sensitive, which is kind of which is kind of not what you think of when you think of a tough guy biker. You know what I mean?
Right.
But by casting you, J. Anthony, that's who you are, and that's what you brought to the character, which allowed for those qualities to be in the character, right? It would have been useless to write Jake as having any sensitivity, with his jacket and his tough macho stance, if you really couldn't do that,
Right.
And that
Right.
was a nice merge of the character and the actor.
I'm shifting on my toe, going, "Oh shucks, thanks."
And I think Brentley helped in that first episode. He kind of gave the blessing to Jake, and the coming out of the biker to the soft, I'm a creative person, I'm a musician, kind of came in those scenes together, and that really locked you guys in. So the time you had together on screen from then on was a great dynamic, the two of you together, and he really brought you into the show, brought Jake into the show.
I agree, and that's also a credit to you.
Yeah, I agree. It was sometimes the show at its best when it was the two of them.
I agree, and that's also a credit to you guys as well, because honestly, I think some of the stuff that you guys had written between us was fantastic, and I really enjoyed playing it. And in fact, when people ask me, what my favorite episode, I'm like, first episode I was in, for frick's sake. Like, are you kidding me? Like, I mean, I was there. I arrived. I got a paycheck. I was in front of a camera. I did some lines. They laughed at stuff I said. They cheered for me. I had co-stars. Co-stars. Not. I mean, like, that's craziness. That's nuts. Anyway, all right.
Is that really your favorite episode?
What's that?
Is that really your favorite episode?
It's one of my favorite episodes. It is one of my favorite. It's probably my favorite experience.
Yeah, sure.
But it is one of my favorite episodes out of a few. There's a few. There's a few favorite episodes. That is one of them, but it is my favorite experience because that day, arriving on that set, doing the table reading, that week, craft service. Food,
bagels,
Frito dip, chili cheese.
That's funny, man.
Yeah, the finger sandwich. Like, I mean, just the dress rehearsals, the makeup, the getting paid attention to, and being catered after. Like, it doesn't work that way now. Like back in those days, it was like, and they'd be like, "Don't worry, Mr. Franke, we got it." Now it's like, it just doesn't work that way now. So anyway, no, that was definitely a favorite experiences, and thank you guys for making me part of that. I appreciate that. I will now move on to the next.
Aw.
I'll move on to the next. Okay. We're gonna say something, or?
I was just commenting that Jake Sommers was crying.
Oh, yeah.
Why?
He's a sensitive biker. He was a sensitive biker.
Yep, he was. Okay, so in season 2, when you paired Jenny and Jake together, were you aware she was going to leave? And was the idea for me to get together with Tiffany? And was the idea always for me to get together with Tiffany at some point after that and have them break up in the season finale?
No. Story development was on the fly. As I recall, and Tony and Brett, feel free to contradict me and tell me I'm senile. We very much created the show and wrote the episodes as we went, right? The characters lived and the characters spoke to us, and literally, they told us what the stories were. We didn't really come up with them. And then if you came up with an idea, the characters would say, no, that's really stupid. It doesn't work. And you'd sit there and you'd stare at a board and it wouldn't work. And so you'd have to relent. And so when something like Tiffany and Jake got together, the concept, right, of this rough-hewn biker in leather and this surf girl, right, who was, you know, macro and Wu Wei, and there was something about that, I think, that made us all go, wow, that's so rich. How do we explore this? And then as it evolved, you know, as teenagers do, they break up.
Right.
And so how do you tell that story as well? So they're in love, and then they're going to be out of love at some point.
Right.
And that was rough. The breakup was rough to write. I remember that. It was really
Was
rough.
the breakup proposal? Was that the breakup?
I think
Wrong.
this question is about the finale, the final episode. When
That's-
she's going off to school. I'm going off to work for Brett Dewey and his music machine, and you actually too. So,
Yeah, well, the great big beats of the Jake Tiffany arc were all very powerful, very emotional. From the one they get together with the fixing the car to the breakup to the near breakup in Bwahaha, where she almost broke up with him, and then finally getting back together, and then finally the finale. What an arc you guys had! And it was nothing we conceived from the beginning. It evolved as we went.
okay.
We know, you know, you're doing a teenage show. There's going to be romance, and romance involves breakups and miscommunications and all that, and that just fed into it all. And it was really a great story arc throughout the whole latter half of the series.
At any point, did we ever consider putting Sam and Jake together? Did we ever consider like an episode where, like, you know, he was in a hospital bed and she was a nurse?
Maybe. I don't know. It's possible, but Tony and Sam were so great.
Yeah,
right?
Their fights were absolutely the funniest fucking things I've ever seen in my life.
They were great, man.
I mean,
They
oh
were
my God. The when he, you know, he was doing the thing, don't you talk about my mama, and she's like, no. I mean, it was, God, my God, they were just so hilarious.
They were.
But no, you guys didn't whore me out enough. I think you should have put me with Sam at some point.
Oh,
I'm kidding. Okay. Let's see. Okay, we already got that one.
we're still on like page 1.
Yeah, we're up to question 9.
Yeah, move on.
Yeah.
Ron's in a 2-hour parking spot. He's going to get towed.
And we're gonna see it live, folks.
I have quarters.
Okay, after the departure of the Garrisons, what went into the creating the characters Mark and Lorena, and what did you think of the cast changes?
Lorena,
you know,
we needed a rehearsal space.
That's right. We needed a new set. That's exactly right.
We lost the Garrison's garage.
Set.
Where could it be?
Okay.
Has to have 2 levels. Make sure you have 2 levels.
And I'm trying to remember, because she was so hot-blooded, and so we didn't want her to be in the band because we had the good chemistry of the band, and we wanted somebody for Sly to kind of lust after since Jenny was gone, right?
Oh no, Jake got together.
No, what?
Yes, yeah.
Well,
Jake and Lorena were together first.
Yeah,
I know, but Sly was
Sly hit on her in the first
Sly
episode.
wanted her bad.
Yeah.
Oh,
Right.
And he hit on everything, fire hydrants,
everything that moved. Yeah.
Hey, speaking back to Sam, wasn't there a bet between the 3 guys who could get Sam?
Yes. Yeah.
That sounds right.
Who could kiss Sam? Yes.
Oh yeah. And then you guys had to dress up as women as a punishment.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. You guys put me in drag. Yes.
Oh my God.
Yes, we put you all in drag, but I think we put Sly in drag more times in the series.
Yes, you did. And actually, that is not being in drag. That's not a regret. A regret is an acting choice I made. I
Ah.
should have, I did a falsetto voice, and I should have just done Jake straight in drag.
Ah.
Should have just done his voice because I watched that.
Inner time machine. Go back and fix it.
Yeah, I
Inner
wish I
time-
could. I wish I
Yeah,
could.
exactly.
Special edition.
Hindsight.
Yeah, hindsight's yeah. I'm blind, so who knows what hindsight is now? So, okay.
But it's you said Mark, right? You
Yes,
said
and
Mark.
too. Yes.
And I don't personally, my recollection is that, no offense to anybody,
No,
I
no,
was
no.
against it.
Okay.
I didn't see the need for another character in there. And I don't honestly remember, maybe I've blocked it out, why the network felt there was the necessity to do that. Not that he hurt the show. He helped the show, obviously.
Yeah. I mean, that's a fair answer. I mean, if that's your answer, then that's the answer. So, how's that vodka going down? All right. Okay.
Called him out, man. You called him out.
It's water. It's water.
I'm starting.
Behind the wheel.
Colorado.
That's why the cop was knocking on the window. Wait, what's that?
That was-
Tony?
In Colorado, because of the altitude, you can drink and you don't really feel it, right?
Right.
This is true. It's a red blood cell thing.
Right.
Right.
I was in Utah and drinking, and back in the 90s. I don't know how it is now, but back in the 90s, their beer was like half strength, or not even half strength. It was like a quarter strength.
Yeah, that's the Mormon thing.
Yeah. So we drank like 30 pitchers, and we're like, I'm not feeling it. This is nuts.
Like pot in the 70s.
Yeah, pretty much. This is bag of shake. I'm really letting you guys know I know too much. Okay. All right. Okay, this is interesting. This gets asked a lot, but it's never been asked of you guys as publicly. A lot of fans thought it was unrealistic that after the big Jake and Tiffany breakup, Tiffany didn't seem to care. And when Lorena and Jake broke up and went straight back to Tiffany, Lorena didn't seem to care. What was the thought process on writing that, or was there a directive to make it so nobody really gave a shit either way when Jake switched between the two both times?
I think
The
there
sick
would
work-
have been a mileage to get out of playing the hurt or the jealousy or this lingering feelings of rejection. However, it's a television show. You're basically pushing the joy, the happiness, and those negative feelings sort of interfered with our, the vibe of the show in a way. It had needed to be like, oh well, that's high school. We're all still friends, aren't we? That was the gang's unity, and to have those lingering feelings would have meant, oh, you can see this is going to dissolve eventually. These people really aren't going to stay together, and that was really what was important, selling that trust in each other, and I think I don't remember it coming from the network. I think it was a feeling in the writers' room that we didn't want to investigate the possibility of stories that could have come from those lingering feelings. We wanted the cleanness of people still, caring for each other. That's
awesome, because that question has been asked of us so many times, and we never have that. We're always like, I don't know. We don't know. Well, they just were, Patrick just gave Lorena direction to not give a shit. That's pretty much what we really don't know. But that's the first time we've ever heard that a plausible, like, oh, that actually makes sense. We were a Saturday morning television show. We were not As the Day Turns or whatever those shows were called.
Right.
Right. Okay. All right. That's good. I like that. All right. Was there anything? Okay. I remember a few. I remember one thing Ron talked to me about that he wanted to do that he couldn't do.
You gonna say that on this? Oh,
No,
sorry, go ahead.
no. I'm not going to say it at all because there's just no way in hell I'm going to say it. But was there anything you really want to do on the show that didn't make it to air? I'm going to let each of you go on this one. So starting with whoever.
I got one.
Okay.
when you and Lorena in the episode were arguing with each other and then realized that you guys were arguing with each other was turning you on. It was supposed to go, you jerk, I hate you, I hate you. Are you as turned on as I am? More, and kiss each other. And
Right.
instead, the network made us change it to you jerk, I like you, I like you. And I hated that. I really hated it.
Saturday morning television. See, that's
Yeah.
the last answer. Hello, Iris.
My wife
Hi,
is
Jim.
here.
How you doing?
Hi, guys.
Everybody, this is Iris Solomon, my honorary
Mom.
Jewish stepmother or mom or whatever it is. 'Cause
Yes, I raised Ron.
Nobody raised Ron.
I tried.
Iris,
Hey, you're not getting paid for this.
All right, so we got Tony's next. Who's anything that you wanted to make it to air but couldn't?
Oh man, God, so many things. It was a Saturday morning show, though. Their episode "Real Teens" was as close as I ever got to trying to demonstrate teenage angst in as real of a way as possible. But you can only go so far with the network. I know this is a Dreams interview, but I'm going to digress to a Bell anecdote real quick. One of the most famous and remembered episodes of Saved by the Bell was the diet pill episode.
Yep.
Right.
Caffeine-
and I'll say
caffeine
that
pill.
that's right. And it ended up being caffeine. We wrote it as Speed.
Right.
And the network said, no, you can't do this. It's Saturday morning. And we said, but it's real. This is what teenagers are doing. They're cramming, they're taking Speed and it's too much pressure. And then Peter went, well, there's diet pills. I'm like, who fucking acts like this on diet pills, man? So we did the best we could in the environment that we had with the sensitivities of the network to create as real of an environment that showed, nobody had sex, right? Obviously a kiss was the orgasm. And that's when the audience would go, woo! We knew it wasn't real. So we were always constrained, Jay.
Yeah.
And I'd be hard pressed to give you a specific anecdote about it because it was constant. But we pushed the envelope more than any of the other TV show, any of the other Saturday morning shows. We got away with a lot more.
Yeah.
I will in our group chat later, I will send you the little what you wanted to do that you told me about that you couldn't. And for the
Can you tell me? Because I don't remember.
I'm gonna tell all of us, but in the FB group chat.
Okay.
But later. All right, Brett, is there one for you?
No, I mean, the constraints that Ron was talking about. We're a Saturday morning show. That's the reality. So, yeah, every episode, every line, there was one you wanted to do. Ron's drifting. There was something you wanted to pitch, something you wanted to do. Some things worked, some things didn't. But I would say the closest we got, dealing with something like addiction or something serious was the smoking episode with Jake and Uncle Frank, where Jake's experimenting with smoking and his uncle turns out, there's a side effect. We really were able to, I don't know, realistically, as realistic as you can get, handle it, because no one's going to start smoking in one episode and by the end of the episode I've quit smoking. But to go through it that way it was handled, I thought we did a good job. I thought that was good for you. It was good for the show. And it was as close as you could get in that environment. We'd learned our lesson from the diet pills a few years before.
That was a great episode, and the big rag. I mean, I remember Ron coming in and just saying to me, "Hey, by the way, Eddie, the big rague's your uncle, Eddie Mecca." And I was like, "You got to be kidding me! You got to be kidding me! Are you?"
Yeah.
No, I was over the freaking moon. I was like, this dude's a freaking legend. Like Eddie Mecca. Anyway, Anyway,
We were pretty excited too.
everybody was. But yeah, no, that was awesome. I think I'm gonna, because we're still barely halfway through. I'm gonna pick and choose some here. Where did the catchphrases "Baboom," "Stay Stout," and "Googamoo" come from?
I think it's
Ron.
Ron.
All
That's
right,
just the way the man
Baboom.
talks.
Baboom was, so there was this cartoon called Felix the Cat.
Right, I remember.
Okay, and there was a character in there named Vavoom.
Okay, yeah,
And he was this really weird little Eskimo dude. His mouth would open like on a hinge,
yeah,
and he would go Vavoom, and anything in his way would be destroyed.
right.
And so there you go. That's Baboom.
All right.
Sorry, anticlimactic, but that was what it is.
But
Right?
hey, but no, that fits with Michael. Anything in his way got destroyed. So anyway.
Do you guys remember where we got Googamoo? Because I don't.
Neither.
Just sounds like you.
I'm just
Stay stout. Stay stout. That wasn't me. Definitely not.
That sounds like Westchester to me. That sounds like something.
All right, maybe. I do remember one thing for sure was me when I don't know if you remember this, but Jake said to Sly, "What's your quirk, Winkle?"
Yeah.
I got so much pushback on that one. You're like, "That's so stupid." I'm like, "No, I like it. It's funny, man. Come on, let's do it." And you sold it, Jay.
I appreciate that. I was hoping for "What's your major malfunction? Numb nuts." But but no, quirk worked. Quirk worked.
You know,
Okay.
I just want to say that the way a writer's room functions is that it's collaborative.
Yeah.
Everybody in there is pitching jokes, storylines, dialogue, ideas, characterizations. And it's so hard sometimes to really remember how things were created because they're in the moment, you know?
Right.
And so
We never argued though. We never argued at all.
oh, never. No. It was very
gotta say,
beautiful. It was very
The
kumbaya.
conversation you just relayed a minute ago, Ron, sounded very familiar. Like, I like it. It's stupid. I want to try it. Let's try it. That was everything. We did that constantly. Half of it made it in, half of it didn't.
Right.
I remember a couple of times where you all came in for a dress rehearsal and nobody was smiling. A couple of times, and nobody was smiling. People ended up smiling after we finished, but like it seemed like there was some tension somewhere. Only a few times, but
That would be one of Noah's shows. We just all hated those, and we wouldn't laugh purposely so that he would.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, nice. All right.
Who came up with Bushing? Because I still do that.
Bushing.
Me too.
Oh, me too.
It just happened to me like last Friday. I was out for sushi, and for some reason they gave us Chinese fortune cookies. I opened it up.
We looked it up.
I yelled out, Bushing.
Bushing.
I don't know what I was talking about.
But we looked it up. Bushing wasn't it really a Chinese word for misfortune?
Oh, I don't know.
You got me there. I thought you just.
I
we just made it
believe
up.
that's Cantonese for misfortune.
Google it.
Well,
We'll look
Google
at.
it. We didn't have Google then.
Yeah, everybody here, Google it, and then let us know in the comments. Let us know in the comments once we post this. I do remember a couple things with Bushing. One was William yelling Bushing from off camera, and that was hilarious. Bushing! That was absolutely hilarious. And the other one was Mark Winkle, Aaron Jackson getting the head cheese. The dude named Head Cheese crushing those massive cakes on both sides of Mark Winkle's head, which he took like a champ. I give him credit. And us, like every time we watched it, because it only happened a couple times because it was only a couple cakes. But I think it was twice. It was or 3 times. It was once during dress rehearsal, and then 2 times during filming day. And every time we watched it, we were all just like, what did we just, and
Damn.
Tony's response, William's response is real. Like he is literally going, what did we just fucking see? Oh shit.
Yeah.
But that's my Bushing man. Okay. Bushing. Yeah. So you don't know who brought that up, who came up with it, who
Wasn't me.
It's one of
Again.
those things in the room.
Yeah.
okay. All right. All right. Well, there for whoever asked that question, most people credit Ron with this stuff. Ron has no recollection of any of it. With these
No.
except for Baboom, which is now Baboom. Okay. All right.
Right. For sure.
All right. We'll do these.
Do you remember that took forever? I got to be honest with you. Finding that Googamoo and Baboom, we knew they had to have a catchphrase.
Yep.
And that took days and days to come up with something that everybody was cool with.
When we do these reunions and stuff, like people still like, Michael, can you just, and he's like, Baboom, and he does it the exact way that he did it, and it's perfect, and yeah, and people love it. So it's something that caught on. I still sign everything Staced Out. Every time I do a cameo on the Cameo app, I'm like, Staced Out, peace out, J. Anthony Franke, whatever.
Man, that's crazy. That's so
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. Yeah, those have stuck around. We do get people yelling "Googamoo" at us at some of these things. It's the stuff that I'm gonna start adding Bushing when we do these public things. I'm gonna start yelling Bushing at people just to anyway. All right, really quickly, one at a time. What was your favorite serious episode and your favorite funniest episode?
Damn it. Sorry, guys.
Sorry, Brett, go first.
Oh, they're all over the place. I could name a dozen,
Yeah.
but for serious, I mean, there's breakup episodes, but I really like the first time Blind Date where Sly gets a girl and he actually becomes a real person
Yeah,
with
a real boy.
girl
Yeah.
for the first time. He's a real boy. And it was a great exposure for him, and I really, and plus Nikki Cox just brought so much. She was such a surprise. You talk about an actress coming in and just taking something off the page and turning it into something. She really made that a special episode, and I thought that was great. A serious episode.
Okay.
And we got away as far as funny and silly, the Western High Plains Dreamer.
Yeah.
That was crazy. That
Mhm.
we got to do that they turned the whole set's cowboy and we got to play that. We did dream sequences in other episodes, but this whole episode that was nuts. They let us do that.
It was
You guys
fun,
were great.
man.
It was so much fun.
And
Reckon.
Why do we keep saying
Reckon.
Because it's a fun word.
That's exactly it. Reckon.
That
was Noah. We have to pay homage. Noah Taft. He wrote that one.
okay.
Yeah,
And-
but it
and-
was
and-
collaborative. That was
What?
definitely you wrote a lot of the music. I mean, that was the show I had the most jokes in at that time. It was second season, and that was the episode that had most of my jokes that I had ever gotten into a script. So
Really?
Script. But again, as you said earlier, I mean, that's why Brett brings it up too, I think, because we all really loved that episode. I know I did.
Yeah.
It was such
It
a
was-
departure.
Based on Cat Ballou. The
Yeah.
movie Cat Ballou
no,
with
you're
Jane
wrong.
Fonda.
It was based on the Dick Van Dyke Dream episode at the dentist, where he dreams he's in the Western. That was the pitch.
Oh, okay. That's an interesting one.
But the minstrels, the traveling minstrels was Cat Ballou.
Oh, David Cassidy, Partridge Family, they did it too. No, we had the Partridge Family and we had Dick Van Dyke as our inspirations for that episode. We definitely had
Inspiration's a polite word for stealing. Yeah.
When I
Yeah,
told
what
that
do you-
joke to Peter Tork.
Taxi.
Oh my God.
I feel like I'm in the writer's room right now.
Yeah.
We'd be throwing tomatoes off. Man.
So I thought about this question a bit, and it's really difficult. As I said, I think Real Teens was one of my favorites. There were a lot of serious. I think we have the last episode especially the breakup scene between Jake and Tiffany made me cry every time we shot it. But I think one of my favorite things about, and this is not really the episode, but it's one of my favorite things about, one of my favorite memories was, and I don't remember which episode. I didn't go back and watch them all. I talked to Pat Maloney. He's like, I watched all my episodes on YouTube. I'm like, well, I don't have time for that, but I'll watch a few.
Yeah, same.
Which episode was it where Jake and Tiffany have a fight and Jake takes that doll and it falls off the handlebars? Remember?
Yeah, and that kid Snake that kid, his name is Snake, shows up, and I'm thinking it's going to be some other biker, and then this 8-year-old kid comes by and shakes down.
Yeah, you were just a jealous shit. But
Yeah.
so the scene was you're riding up PCH with Barbie, Tiffany's Barbie doll strapped to the handlebars, a horse fly hits it in the head, hits it in the face, it falls off the handlebars, goes down the cliff, and I don't know, drowns or burns up or something. And it was based on a Barbie. But we got, and I still have, notes from the network that Mattel sent in. They had to approve it because it was Barbie. Okay. And it didn't ultimately end up being Barbie. This is like one of those Japanese Indian stories real quick. So they said in this letter, 1, Barbie does not ride motorcycles. 2, Barbie does not get hit in the face by horseflies. 3, Barbie does not get knocked off of motorcycles, fall down cliffs on PCH, and burn up. And
there's
a
handbook.
And so,
well, those are clearly
so no,
facts.
literally we got it. And so we said, well, can we just name her Bambi? And the network went, yeah, that's fine.
Awesome.
I love the Western. That's gotta be one of my favorites. I remember laughing really hard at it. Too Much was a really gang written writer's room accomplishment, and it really worked in terms of for us a nice mixture of comedy with the tutu stuff and the seriousness of the episode. I like that last episode where that's very, it was very tearful and dramatic. There was like 1,000 people in the studio, or no, we were at Sunset Gower then in the studio that day. That was really exciting. That was really interesting. But I mean, that really weird episode of Boys R Us.
Yeah.
I don't know what the hell we were doing. But it was pretty interesting, actually. It wasn't really a California Dreams episode, but I still have the bat under my bed. That's like my souvenir from the show.
But we experimented, guys, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we really tried to do things differently than Bell.
Yeah.
And
we were rebelling against Bell.
Rebelling.
I just like that you had us down in Compton, the band in English cop uniforms, to come to the rescue of or to try and help Tony Wicks and his friend. But
yeah, the dialogue was unlike anything else that ever been on the show. Some of them were speaking very differently.
Yeah.
It's really a little different. That's funny. That's
also, on Too Much, it's funny, and it was also done with I had a bunch of pet reptiles. You guys made Jake afraid of reptiles. And then on Too Much, I was actually a trained ballet dancer.
Oh yeah,
in real life. And then I had to go out there and act like I couldn't ballet dance, which was like, oh. But at the same time, I got it.
Right.
I totally got it. But at the same time, I was like, oh, I need to showcase my shit. God damn it. Yeah. All right, next one. Okay. Okay, real quick. We're trying to get these. Whew. Okay. Which character do you enjoy writing for the most? And who do you think was the funniest?
Oh my God.
Feels like a trap. It feels like you're going to say somebody and you're going to hurt someone's feelings, but it's hard to say it, but I'll do it.
Okay.
I loved writing for William. William was just fantastic.
It was because he nailed it.
Life, and he's become a therapist, and he's a great, smart guy. But I mean, he really had the chops, even as a young guy. He really had the chops, and it was just fun to write for him. It felt like you could almost give him anything.
Anything.
Comedy lines. Yeah, I mean, I really admired the guy. I thought he really was talented. Not put down anybody else. It's just that he was so much fun to write for.
I'm good with it. When we're being interviewed in these group reunion things that we've been doing, like, and people ask, I'm like, look, if that dude's lips were moving, I was laughing. Like that's
right.
That's just how it was with William. If he was doing, or just if he was doing something, if he was moving, I was laughing. He was just a funny freaking guy.
Yes,
absolutely, I agree. Is it Brett? Would you say that was he was your best to write?
I mean, there were so many. We've talked about Sam. There's so many funny characters. It's everybody had their strength, and it was fun. And I don't mean to play the neutral guy, but I can tell you who the worst character to write for was. Absolute worst was Johnny Himalaya.
Oh, Johnny!
Oh, fuck off!
That guy, man.
He didn't like it. He purposely killed it, right? He do it really badly.
All right, dude. Tony, I agree. Tony Wicks was so delightful because he would deliver the comedy pretty much every time.
Yep.
And so that was because it was a sitcom. It was great to write. I'll tell a quick aside, but I like writing for you a lot, Jay, because we could go against type with you, and you were cool with it. You could wear a tutu, you could wear a kilt and do bagpipes, right? You were okay embarrassing yourself, but at the same time, you would maintain who you were, right? And so if somebody laughed at you, it was, one of the cast members laughed at you, it was kind of like, I'm going to break your head.
Yeah.
And then they would chill, but you would still have that wonderful vulnerability that you could portray. And so I enjoyed writing that a lot. Anthony, Tony, absolutely. Samantha was a crack up pretty much every time because she was so hysterical. I don't know. Do you guys remember Arsenio Hall?
Yeah. Talking to
and William had hung out, and I don't know if I should tell this story or not. Well, William had hung out, but I will. Fuck it. William had met Arsenio Hall, and as I recall, Arsenio Hall told him that he was being step and fetch it.
Oh.
Which I don't know how many of your viewers know. It's a very old sitcom. It was white guys wearing blackface and very plantation comedy. Today, there's no way. I mean, it's very racist stuff. And so to say to a black actor that they're step and fetch it is very insulting. And so William took that to heart really seriously. And he came to us and said, I can't do this anymore. I have to be this more serious. And we tried to explain to him that, no, you're just funny. You're not step and fetch it. You're just the funniest guy in the cast, man. You're the comedy, right?
Hands down, funniest guy in the cast.
And he had a hard time with that. But I think eventually we wrote him out of enough jokes.
Yeah, funny. But what he really didn't like was the fear. He didn't like playing his character so fearful, because that was the connection to the step and fetch it, which was actually a play on Jim Crow. Jim Crow, I'm sorry, I get a little academic here, but Jim Crow was a white
plantation stuff.
Step of the black guy in the 1800s, and Step and Fetch It was actually a black actor who appears in some Shirley Temple films. You can still find YouTube things, and it's incredibly insulting stereotypes of a lazy, ignorant guy who's funny because he's so stupid and lazy, right? And that was the insult that William was becoming more sensitive toward. And I think to some extent, he did help us become more sensitive to not tiptoeing accidentally, unconsciously into anything close to that. And we didn't have to, because he was still funny,
Right. And I feel bad for him that Arsenio Hall, somebody he really would have looked up to, would have said something like that to him. because that really would have messed with his head, I think, especially at that age. And
Yeah.
especially the success that Arsenio was seeing.
Right. But Tony's right. We could write virtually anything for him. And so I guess maybe you're right, Tony. I guess maybe we did kind of adjust our sensibilities out of respect, right, for what he was trying to explain to us.
Because he was so unlimited, or apparently unlimited
Yeah.
in his talent, unlike some of the other casts. I mean, everybody's a human being. We have limitations. And ultimately, our conception of a character was limited by what the actor could do. And after a few episodes, the water would find its level, and we knew what we could give them and what they couldn't. With William, he wasn't showing us any limit, and we actually needed to have that conversation with him to understand if he didn't have that talent limit, he had that moral limit. He had that awareness limit. We obviously respected, completely. I mean, we were for a bunch of old white guys, we were fairly sensitive to what was going on. And became
we were young white guys, young white guys.
The third year when we had a woman finally come on staff, right? And she helped make us more aware of sometimes our male tendencies with the writing.
Right.
Come on. William James Jones, Tony Wicks, and the Wrecking Ball. What? That Wrecking Ball's making a wreck out of me? Come on. Who could have pulled that off but him? That was great.
Yeah, no, he was I just whenever the wife will pull out, not pull out, but plug the HDMI cable in from the computer for the YouTube because we're not streaming or whatever, or we don't even use the DVD player anymore. And she'll play some stuff, and it's when William's doing stuff, I'm just like, okay, hold on, William's doing. I want to watch it.
Dermot Gilligas. He was everything. And he would usually get it on the first take too. He didn't need. Yeah, he was so funny. God, he's so funny.
He just pulled that stuff out. So, okay. How long did you know in advance that season 5 would be the last season? And are you happy with the last episode?
Right from the beginning, we knew, right? We knew.
Yeah, immediately we knew.
We knew we were hitting that syndication cap.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I personally was happy with that final episode. Sensibility wise, I think everybody was kind of true to their character and what they did.
Yeah. No, it was a tearjerker for everyone. The whole soundstage was wiping tears and sniffling, and even watching it now, you can still like, okay, I'm getting choked up again on that last damn song. But I think, everyone had their moment. Tiffany and Jake had their moment. Sly, even Sly and Mark had their moment. Everybody. It was a good send off.
Yeah.
How about you, Jay?
Jake and Winkle had their moment. What's that?
How about you? How'd you feel about that last episode?
Man, that was it was a soul crusher, first of all. It was the end of it was the end of the ride, first of all. 2, it was like I had a pretty street life up until that point. So this was like my first taste of like the high life. I was like that guy from the Monopoly board with the hat. I was like, for a little while it was different. And I was pretty street when I got to you guys. So that coming to an end, that being said, also it was also I had been sort of estranged from my own family at the time for a while, so this had become also like a surrogate family too. So there was a lot of emotion there for me. There was a lot of true, crazy, weird emotion, and probably stuff that I'm still dealing with that I probably need to go see a therapist for. At this, I probably call William, but Dr. Jones. But I do remember there's one little tiny shot during the song where it I think I allowed my character to almost blubber a bit.
Mm.
And I see that shot, and I'm like, I really shouldn't have. There should have been a more of a stoic,
No.
a stoic to Jake, I think, in that spot. I just think I don't know, like it's just that spot. It was just and I don't know, like, but however, every emotion in filming that, it didn't matter how many times we filmed it. We were all freaking crying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we filmed it like during the day, and then I think we twice, and then another time at night, or twice at night. I don't remember, but it was at least 3 or 4 times. And it didn't matter when we filmed it. Every time we were just like, fucking shit, man. I can't, and then also the I don't know who wrote it, but you and me sure had some battles, didn't we, Sommers? We sure did, Winkle. You're not going to tell me you love me.
I mean, you love me.
I sure am, you jerk. Come here. Like right now, that's making me almost tear up at the moment.
Yeah.
Just thinking about it. Like it was, because Michael Cade and I actually did have real battles in real life every freaking day. But I love the guy, and that I honestly think the finale episode, so I'm glad you actually asked me about it.
Yeah.
I think that finale episode was literally the culmination of my life at the time. That it literally was where I was at mentally and with everybody around. I mean, it was real.
Well, we bring our lives to our work.
Yep.
We as writers can only write what we know.
Yep.
Right. And it doesn't it only comes across as sincere as you're really writing what you know. If you're making it up, it's obvious that you don't know what you're talking about. And the same for an actor. An actor brings out what's true inside of them. And so for you to have blubbered works on so many levels, right? For you to cry worked for that tough guy with a heart. It's good to see a tough guy with a heart cry.
Right.
Especially if you're a little boy.
Yeah.
Who's got all these stereotypes and archetype men, Zeus and Batman doesn't cry and all that stuff. So you really, by doing that, I believe you probably made some boys feel a little bit better about being sensitive.
I have gotten some comments about that. Yes.
And Peter Engel wrote all of those other shows, Bell, New Class, Hang Time, City Guys, USA High. None of them came close to anything like that final episode. Nothing came close.
I agree.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree. I had something I was going to say about it. But I'll if I remember. Oh man, no, it was. Ooh.
Gotta lay off that acid.
Yeah, that's just.
Shouldn't have eaten those mushrooms. Hey, get to that question about our guest stars. I want to talk about our guest stars.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm
We
skipping
had guest stars.
here. Yeah, we'll do about 3 more, I think, and then
Okay.
okay. So before we get to the guest star one, favorite song from the show.
Vote for Jake.
Jesus.
Don't tell fancy. Actually, can you hear that? Because I think I have my. Could you hear the guitar? Because I think I had my my background suppression on.
Try it again.
No.
Oh,
Are you taking requests?
I'd have to go in and change a bunch of settings, but I was just about to sing a stanza from Vote for Jake. But anyway, okay. So Vote for Jake, Ron's favorite.
Too Much to Dream or Castles in Quicksand? Both.
Night, all both great songs.
It's a softie, Brett. Such a softie.
I've heard some amazing covers. I've even redone Too Much to Dream live a few times. Tony?
There was a song you guys sang when you were doing singing telegrams.
Was it was
Always my favorite.
what was it? You captured my heart, and my heart belongs to you. You captured my heart, me heart, right from the start, And because I was Michael in the background doing the me heart and the start. Was that the one?
It was very silly. There were some nice songs, obviously.
Yeah.
We had some pretty good songwriters doing the big stuff. But I agree with, we're talking about stuff that we wrote instead as a kind of a joke here. But it was fun. I mean, Ron, I think you wrote all the songs for the Western, didn't you?
Probably. I don't remember. I do remember Vote for
The
Jake.
music, I mean, you wrote the music one and that one. Yeah.
I remember going into Peter's office. Brett, remember? He's like, go play it for him. Go play it for him.
What, Vote for Jake?
Yeah, Vote for Jake. And I played it for Peter. And he was, all right, that's fine.
I was shocked when you guys came for me.
Full endorsement.
I was shocked when you guys actually when you came to me and said I had to sing it because I was like, why isn't Barry Coppin doing that? Okay, all right.
It's better with you doing
Yeah,
it.
totally.
I appreciate that. I thought I did all right.
You did great.
I appreciate it. All right. I'm going to get to the question that you guys, what favorite guest star, and then I'll do a follow-up on each one.
There were so many really good ones, honestly.
There were.
One of the fun parts of the show were some of the guest stars. Gary Beach, Nikki Cox,
Oh.
you just mentioned,
Yep.
Wait, Gary Beach was on Dreams?
Wow, Brett
we brought him
wrote the
back.
episode about the used car salesman.
Yep.
Right. Okay.
Oh, but the
Honest
principal
Sly.
and McBride, those guys, they were fantastic.
Yep.
Right?
Denise O'Dowd, she passed away recently as well. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Earl
Yeah.
Bowen.
Earl Bowen.
Longford.
Yeah.
He just
Really?
anytime you just knew it was gold with him.
That was another one when I walked on the set and saw Earl Bowen walk on. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Like this is almost like my first day again.
He had one of the monkeys also on the show once.
Yeah,
Peter Tork.
Right.
Yeah.
Was that in season 1?
Yes.
No.
Tiffany's wedding.
Probably.
He was a surf guru.
Yeah,
And
was
he
before
married-
the wedding.
Who
Tiffany
did he
wanted to get
marry?
married.
Yeah, who did he marry? Tiffany and who?
Why?
I want to
I
say
don't
maybe
remember.
Sly. Yeah.
The surf guru was Peter Tork?
Yes.
Yeah.
What
And-
was that smoking?
Yeah, I remember Franco Barrio, the producer, line producer, coming to us, and Peter Tork saying 5 seconds, 7 seconds, and he going, "That cost us $15,000."
And we were not allowed to do any monkeys joke.
No, do you remember that? And at
Yeah.
the table
We
read,
had one in there and he said, I'm not doing that. No monkeys references.
That's right. And I said to him, I said, so what was it like working with Susan Day? And he looked at me and he went, that was the Partridge Family, not the monkeys. And I said, I know. That's why it's, I'm just bye.
Exit stage left.
Exactly. He wouldn't do monkey jokes. You're right, Brett. It was crazy. It was so stupid. It's like, why do you think we fucking hired you? Was your Hamlet?
like,
no.
There was no other reason.
Exactly.
I did.
Could have saved $15,000.
I had no idea.
I'm blanking on the name, but we had the woman who played Tiffany's long lost mother was married to somebody from Kiss. We had I can't remember the guys from Kiss. I was not a Kiss fan.
Gene Simmons, Ace Frehley, Paul Stanley, and
One of
The
the-
woman.
The woman
Yeah, no, I-
married a woman who played Tiffany's mom, and that was like
that's
this.
another one y'all can Google when you're watching this.
Yeah.
I'll Google it later too.
She was really good, actually. That was a good serious episode, actually, for a season
Okay.
where we did something serious.
Brett, you have
Oh,
Three of us.
oh.
what's that?
Yeah, they don't remember the Tiffany's mom episode, and the three of us actually wrote that. I wrote the first act, they wrote the second 2 acts. Remember? Tiffany's mom had deserted her. You don't remember this? That's why she took steroids. She didn't have a mom.
I remember her
tied in.
setting her, she set up her dad on a date and the actress went on to be Buffy's mom on Buffy the Vampire Slayer
Yes.
after
Yes.
Sutherland,
Yes.
Kristen Sutherland.
Yes, my wife is a big fan.
Yeah.
Yeah. So is
She
that one?
was dating Tiffany's dad for one episode.
Yeah. We try stuff.
Sweet. Okay. I'm sure you guys have the answer to this. Why is the show not streaming anywhere?
We don't want the money. We have enough stuff. We don't want any more. And if they stream, they have to pay us. And we're like, no.
Everyone can
more
see
green
through that.
envelopes.
Ron lives in his
Please
car.
go.
Everyone can see through that.
I'm like, I don't even need the money. Just stream it so I can go do cons. Like, and I mean, like, this is crazy. Like, this is nuts. But yeah, still the money would be nice.
I don't know. I really don't know why it never went. Why is Saved by the Bell still on 5 times a day, right? And Dreams is not. It was, I think, a better show ultimately, but it didn't grab. It didn't bite as hard in the collective psyche of the audience. I guess it's always business, Jay, right? It's always a business decision at the end of the day. And I think if they thought they could have made money, it would still be on.
And they market it more, and they would have marketed it more back then as well, too.
Right.
And it seems like now that NBC owns Peacock, you'd think they just dump the whole TNBC block on there. They own it. They might just throw it all up, promote it as, hey, all your favorite shows from 30 years ago.
You may be surprised.
Yeah, right?
You may be surprised to know that Peacock has a TNBC channel, and we're not on it.
Wow.
I wonder if there's some kind of a
Really?
rights. Maybe there's some kind of a rights thing. Maybe they sold the rights but don't feel terrible, right? Bell was the franchise. Okay. Bell was the franchise.
Yep.
So all of the Peter Engel world stuff that came out, USA High, City Guys, Hang Time, Dreams, Bell's the only one that is really doing rewrites.
Right, but all of those other shows are on the Peacock TNBC lineup, though, except for Dreams.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes.
It's got to be the
Really?
It must be
Now
some
I'm angry.
And I'm thinking it's something to do with the music, something to do with who owns, which is like, we're just, I do know there's some people looking into that right now, trying to figure out who we can talk to just release this crap. Nobody's, just anyway. All right, so I've skipped quite a bit. Let me just
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Question?
Yes.
When you guys look back at the writers' room, and the three of us were there from the number one to the end.
Yes.
Along the way, there were a lot of other writers.
Yes.
Came in and went out, and there's guest writers and all kinds of things that happened. When you look back on it, though, can you still remember the camaraderie of that room as something special, as like a kind of special time in your life? Because I sure do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you remember dancing on the roof at Sunset Gower? Near the very end, Sunset Gower, and to be honest, it was a really bad episode that I'm pretty sure I was responsible for. And we were it was like at least 2, 3 in the morning, and we were completely rewriting it. In fact, it was the episode, Jake, where you're telling a story and everybody becomes these characters in the story. You're trying to teach some lesson or something like that. I don't remember, but we were rewriting it. It's 2 in the morning.
Is it the broccoli flower story?
Yeah. Right. So we need a break. We go out on the roof, which we're not supposed to do, but we know how to do it. And we have music out there. And Elise Allen was our writer's assistant. And Robbie and Dawn were the other writers on the show. And we were dancing on the roof at Sunset Gower in 2 in the morning. And I remember thinking, like, this is like once in my life am I going to have this wonderful feeling of failure because we're here so fucking late. And at the same time, just loving it.
Yeah.
I think I remember most the creativity of all of us together, right? There was a connection between us all. We were all trying to create something great And it wasn't like we were trying to create something great consciously. We just knew that we had something, and we wrote that and we let it come through us. And it was the most creative place I've ever been in my life. You know, even the quiet moments in that room were creative, right? I was thinking about it, and it was the loudest room I remember being in, but it was loud in its silence too, right? When we were quiet, we were thinking, and everybody was just gestating ideas. And then when we would go and we would grab toys from that toy chest and tap into our child, and people, Brett would be doing his Lego, right? Noah and I were throwing Nerf shit at each other, and it was an asylum. It was a madhouse, right?
And
But
post-it notes on each other's backs.
putting notes on each
Note on the
other's
back.
backs.
Yeah, yeah,
You'd walk around
Yeah.
through everybody asking you about what's on your back. Yeah.
yeah. Ron, you remember when you did it to Peter and he snapped at Noah and he's like, "Did you do this?" And Noah said the weirdest thing. I still remember this weird line. Noah just like instinctively responded and he said, "I know which side my bread is buttered on." Walks away. I said, "What the fuck?"
They
And
got
the-
me.
I don't know. I panicked.
Oh, how did that
You
not make it
guys-
into a show?
I remember I got home. We would get, and there were these two writers, and we got them. I could never get anybody. I sucked at it, but you guys were great at it. And I remember there were these two writers that came in and pitched, and we got them on the way out. And we were so in love with what we had done. We just thought these guys are going to go all the way home, and they're going to get home, and they're going to have this sticky note on their back that says something stupid. And the next day, I get home, and Iris, my wife, comes walking up from behind me. And you know how you know when somebody's reading something, right?
Yeah.
And she's coming up from behind me, and she's going, "My name is Punjab," and I grabbed it, and I had gotten it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, Jay, and thank you. I'm from my heart. You guys really made our words come to life, and I think it is a travesty that it's not on, because I think it was a great show. You know, everybody's a critic out there, right?
I agree.
And I don't think that it was a Bell ripoff or a Bell derivative. I think it was wholly original, and you guys were wholly original as actors. And I think we created something pretty special.
I wanted to say that, and I've said this before, like this was never, people say, well, when you made California Dreams, I'm like, I didn't make California Dreams. A lot of us made California Dreams.
Right.
There's a lot of people involved, and there's a lot of people whose names will go unsung, that I'll never get to in interviewing or whatever. But it was a project. But you guys gave us our words, and you gave us who we were, and who we were, and who we became, and sometimes even who we aspired to be, which is kind of even a little deeper than I probably wanted to go right there. But so thank you as well. And I think I can speak for the rest of us, the rest of the cast, when I say thank you to the three of you as well, and also the other writers that weren't here. I was going to invite everyone that had been involved, but I was like, this would just be a freaking free for all, and we would never, and I'd end up day drinking, and yeah, it would just be. So, can I do one more before we say adieu? Can I ask one more question? It's a two-parter.
Yeah, hurry up! I'm running out of gas.
I know. Ron's almost to his destination.
The tow truck's on its way.
Right. Would you be interested in doing a reboot? And if so, what would it look like? If so. So Ron said no, or?
No. I absolutely would.
Okay.
Yeah.
What would it look like? God, what would it look like? You'd have to pick up, just from the storytelling perspective, you'd have to trace what everybody's aspirations were right when they graduated, and how many of us really do follow what how many of us become what we wanted to become or thought we wanted to become when we graduated high school, right?
Very few.
Almost,
Very,
almost none of us,
right.
right?
Right.
And so I think that would be the genesis of the conception of whatever it would be, right? Maybe Jake was a failure, right? He went on and then he opened up a garage, right? Or maybe he was a superstar. I don't know. I haven't really thought about it, but that's
Maybe
where I would start.
maybe
That's where
he
I would
opened up for
start.
Kiss and got booed off the stage. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and then it broke his heart, and he was like, "Fuck it." Yeah. So, yeah. Um,
Yeah, I'm all for a reboot. That'd be lovely, but like Ron said, it could go so many different ways, and you want to cherish the characters we have. And
Right.
yes, while their futures may be different than they visioned, you don't want them to all be sad. They've got new
No.
versions, and how do we turn it into a positive, happy? Let's get the band back together.
right.
Right. That's ultimately where it would go, right?
Yeah,
Because
that's what it has to end up, right?
right. That's what the audience would want to see, for sure.
Yeah.
Or we're coaching our kids who are all little, good-looking kids into their own band, and we're just kind of coaching around them. Go ahead, Tony.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, the knee-jerk thought on that kind of thing is, now you guys have kids and they're the new California dreams, right? But
Right.
in a very different kind of show, one, it's not a four-camera sitcom, something more single camera and more of a mixture of tragedy and comedy. Wow, would it be interesting to tell a story about where you guys are now at your current age, like the characters, I mean, right? That would, I
Right.
mean, it's kind of like, even if we really went realistically with where you guys all ended up, with Brent still pursuing music, with you in Australia, with Jenny on Broadway, it's kind of interesting in real life what you guys ended up doing. And if we did that with your characters and had you kind of reunite and try to be the band back together, as Brett's saying, it doesn't even have to be about the band anymore in a way, it just has to be with that idea of, can I get my family back together? Because, like, as you were saying, Jay, when you were in that time of life, it did become like a surrogate family for you. And it's not hard to believe that wouldn't be true for Jake as well, the character. But for him, he needed to get his family back together. Maybe he has a loss or something like that that makes him ache for something to get back together. He realizes how short life is. So I had a dream last March. I was in Budapest, and I had a dream.
California dream.
Brett, you were running it.
What?
You were running it. And Peter was telling me my script from 30 years ago was really bad. I was like, Peter, that was 30 years ago. Is he still alive, by the way, Peter England?
I think his health is deteriorating, but I think he's still kicking.
Ron, do you have any contact with him?
What? No,
Do you have any contact with Peter? No.
no, I don't have no contact with Peter.
I think
I'm
Franco
still in
does.
touch with Franco.
Yeah.
Pat.
Yeah. Yeah, Pat was great when you interviewed him. Pat was a big part of the show. He really was.
Oh yeah,
Yep.
he was part of the family.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah, and it was I would have loved to have done the same with Don.
Yeah. Well, but Don cared about the show in a different sort of way. Pat cared in a different way about the show, in a way that really appealed to me.
Right.
It was more important to Pat. Don had other shows, went back to Bell, but for Pat, this was a bigger deal. And he really invested himself in a way that I thought paid off for us, for everybody.
I always likened Pat to more of a actor's director,
Hmm.
and Don, not taking away from his abilities, and he was very good actor's director, but he was also more of a producer's director. But one of the things, and I'll just quick anecdote about Don. I had been partying a lot, and I had shown up late a few days. I think you guys remember that. Probably more than a few days. And Don pulled me aside on the soundstage And he said, "Hey, I worked on Mork and Mindy." And he said, "I worked with Robin Williams." He said, "And Robin Williams, he would show up at 5 p.m. like, regularly, like, Monday through Thursday." He said, "But Friday, he would show up and he would nail that son of a bitch. Just fucking nail it." And he said, "And you know what, Jay?" He said, "You're good, but you're no fucking Robin Williams."
Damn. Damn, Pat. Damn, John.
No, that was Don. Yeah. And I was like, and that hit me. I was like, oh, I think he probably has a point. So I actually, I did not, I think I was on time for a while.
Yeah. Wow. Interesting.
Slow departing.
Sorry he said that. That's
What's
pretty
that?
messed up.
No, it was sobering, and I think I needed to
Yeah,
hear.
for sure.
I think I needed to hear it at the time.
Okay.
So, when I think about it now, like I tell it as it's funny to me.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, at the time it was definitely like a, but
Yeah.
anyway, gentlemen, this has been absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
And
A lot of fun.
Thanks for
Thanks.
hosting.
Yeah. Thanks for bringing back great memories.
yeah, man, and thank you for sharing with me and the fans, and thanks to the fans for sending in questions. Maybe we'll do this again and talk about some other crap. Who knows?
It'll be fun.
Yeah, talk some politics and religion. Oh, by the way, I don't know if you guys saw at one of the cons recently, I got branded
Oh, wow.
What's it say?
California Dreams.
Oh,
That's
that's
the logo.
awesome.
Yeah,
Yep.
the logo.
That's
Wow.
awesome.
I was asked if I would do a promo for a local tat shop. They would do it for free, and I was here. I was at the con represent anyway. I was like, yeah, sure. So we did it, and there we go. Anyway, guys, this has been fantastic. Thank you so much. I'm gonna
Thank you.
stop the recording, and then everybody, thank you for tuning in. Again, Ron Solomon, Brett Dewey, Tony Soltis, some of the big players on California Dreams, guys who made your dreams come true along with the rest of us. So cheers, stay stout, baboom, googamoo, booshing. Cheers.
See ya.
Bye.